You stand before the Great Wall, its stones glowing under a dying sun. But listen closely, the wind does not carry triumph. It carries screams, whispers of bones buried within its foundation. When you think of ancient China, do you see wisdom and silk, or blood and secrets hidden in the earth? Here are 7 disturbing facts about ancient China that history tried to bury. The first disturbing fact is buried deep beneath the soil of Anyang, the heart of the Shang dynasty. Here, silence was a ritual. Archaeologists uncover mass graves, not of enemies, but of servants, soldiers, even children. They were not killed in war. They were buried alive, their lives sacrificed to follow their rulers into death. Imagine standing at the edge of the pit, drums pounding like thunder, priests chanting into the night. Hundreds, sometimes thousands, lowered into the earth, their cries fading as the soil consumed them. A king did not walk into the afterlife alone. He dragged his people with him, bound in chains of loyalty and fear. This was not devotion. This was dominance beyond the grave. The message was clear. Even death could not free you from the ruler's grip. And in that silence, a kingdom was held together, not by love, but by terror. Most people will hear this and look away. But if you're still here, you're different. Subscribe to Cursed Chronicles so history's darkest whispers aren't forgotten. The second disturbing fact drags us from the tomb to the execution ground. It was called Ling Chi, death by 1,000 cuts. A punishment so brutal it was meant to erase not just the body, but the soul itself. Picture this: you are bound in the public square. The crowd gathers, not to pity you, but to witness your unraveling. The executioner does not strike to kill. He slices small, deliberate flesh from your arms, your legs, your chest. The crowd watches as pain becomes theater, as suffering becomes a warning. The cuts go on for minutes, hours, until your body trembles, soaked in blood. Only at the end, when you are broken, does the final stroke pierce your heart. But the torment was not yours alone. Families of the condemned were punished too. Bloodlines marked by shame, legacies destroyed. Ling Chi did not just kill. It scattered. It scattered flesh, dignity, and memory, until nothing whole remained. For nearly 1,000 years, this ritual carved its warning into the skin of China's history, until it was finally abolished in the early 1900s. But the echoes of those screams still linger in the silence of the records. If this already feels unbearable to hear, imagine living through it. If you believe these stories must be remembered, subscribe. If not, I'll be reading your reasons in the comments tonight. The third disturbing fact lies beneath one of the world's most admired wonders, the Great Wall of China. From a distance, it looks eternal, a monument to strength. But step closer, and the stones begin to whisper. This wall was not built on triumph, it was built on sacrifice. Imagine the endless line of laborers, peasants, soldiers, prisoners, dragging stones heavier than their own bodies across mountains and deserts. Their hands cracked open, their backs bent until the spine itself begged for release. They labored under the sun by day and the freezing wind by night, with little food, less rest, and no mercy. Those who collapsed were not given graves. They were buried where they fell, beneath the very stones they carried. Historians call the Great Wall the longest graveyard in the world. Estimates whisper of hundreds of thousands who perished, swallowed by the earth to hold up a dream they would never see completed. Their bones became mortar, their screams became silence, their legacy became invisible, hidden beneath the feet of tourists who now walk its path without knowing what lies beneath. And yet, the wall still stands, admired as a wonder of human achievement. But look closer. It is not just stone that holds it together. It is sorrow, it is sacrifice, it is lives traded for bricks that will never decay. Millions admire the wall today, but few remember the bones inside it. Subscribe to Cursed Chronicles so these souls are not erased again. The fourth disturbing fact takes us not to the battlefield, but into the palace itself. Behind the golden walls of emperors lived men who were neither whole nor free, the eunuchs. Their voices were high, their power immense, but the price of that power was agony. Picture this: a boy no older than 10, led into a chamber with crude blades and no anesthetic. His body pinned down, his cries swallowed by the walls as the sharp edge decides his future in a single, brutal moment. Many bled to death. Others survived, but scarred in body and soul, their childhood stolen before they even began. Those who lived became servants within the Forbidden City. They had no families of their own, no heirs to carry their name. And yet, some rose higher than generals, whispering into the ears of emperors, controlling armies and kingdoms with a flick of their hand. They were feared, hated, and needed all at once. Their influence shaped dynasties, but always at the cost of their humanity. The palace may have been a place of silk and ceremony, but beneath it pulsed an unspoken truth. Every eunuch was a sacrifice. Their bodies mutilated to protect the throne from temptation, their lives molded into tools of power. And though their shadows stretched across empires, their suffering was written in silence. If this makes you shiver, imagine it being your fate at age 10. If you believe these truths must reach more people, subscribe. If you don't, then tell me, why turn away from history's reality? The fifth disturbing fact lies sealed beneath a hill in Xi'an, untouched for over 2,000 years. This is the tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China. A man who sought immortality, and in his pursuit, created a mausoleum as terrifying as it was magnificent. Imagine walking into the darkness beneath the earth, torches flickering against row after row of terracotta soldiers, thousands of them, standing in perfect formation, their painted faces frozen in silence. Each one unique, crafted by hand, guarding their emperor in death as real soldiers once did in life. But the soldiers were not alone. The emperor's artisans, concubines, and even his builders were sealed inside with him, buried alive to ensure the secrets of his resting place would never escape. Their breath became dust, their screams drowned in silence, their lives consumed by his hunger for eternity. And the tomb itself remains unopened to this day. Ancient writings speak of rivers of liquid mercury flowing through it, an underground kingdom poisoned by the very substance the emperor drank in his quest to live forever. A curse that lingers, untouched, as if even time fears to disturb it. The terracotta army is admired as one of history's greatest wonders. But behind its beauty is horror, a monument not to life, but to a ruler who believed others must die for him to live forever. You're still here. That means you've walked through 5 of the darkest truths with me. Subscribe to Cursed Chronicles so we continue uncovering what others fear to tell. The 6th disturbing fact is not carved in monuments or recorded in ritual, but whispered in desperation. In the years when famine swept across the land, ancient China, for all its wealth and power, was no stranger to hunger. Crops failed, rivers dried, wars ravaged the soil, and when the granaries emptied, families faced a horror beyond comprehension. Imagine a village where silence hangs heavier than smoke. No livestock remains, no grain, no seed. The weak collapse in the streets, their bones sharp beneath their skin. And then, a decision is made. Some records speak of parents who traded their children with neighbors, so they would not have to consume their own blood. Others describe markets where human flesh was sold in secret, desperation masking itself as survival. To eat meant to live, but to live meant to bear a curse no prayer could wash away. The dynastic records mention it briefly, as if ashamed to admit it. But the truth is clear. Cannibalism was not myth, it was reality. Not once, but many times across centuries of drought, plague, and war. The hunger hollowed not just bodies, but humanity itself, turning neighbor against neighbor, family against family. In the shadow of famine, civilization itself was devoured. If you're still listening after this, it means you understand that history is not just glory, it is grief. Subscribe to Cursed Chronicles so these voices are not lost to silence. If you choose not to, then tell me in the comments, why turn away now after coming this far? The 7th disturbing fact takes us into the Forbidden City itself, where golden halls hid shadows thicker than any battlefield. Here death was not always loud. It was quiet, elegant, invisible, served in a porcelain cup. Poison became the language of power. A single sip of tea, a bite of fruit, and an emperor, a concubine, or a minister could be erased before the cup was empty. Imagine the fear. Every meal tasted first by a servant whose life was worth less than the emperor's appetite. Imagine lifting your chopsticks, not knowing if this bite would be your last. Even the most powerful man in the empire never dined without suspicion. He trusted no one. Not his generals, not his wives, not even his own blood. Intrigue was the true emperor of China's courts, and poison its sharpest weapon. But the cruelty did not end with the victim. Families of the accused were slaughtered, sometimes 9 generations erased for a single act of treachery. The palace was a cage of silk, lined not with jewels, but with paranoia. Every smile could hide betrayal, every toast could carry death. And in this endless theater of suspicion, history itself was written in venom. CTA. If you've followed me through all 7 of these truths, then you've proven you can face what most turn away from. Subscribe to Cursed Chronicles and walk with me further into the shadows of history. If you won't, then tell us in the comments why you'd rather close your eyes when the past is still staring back at you. Ancient China is remembered for its wisdom, its art, its inventions. But behind the silk and stone lies a darker reality. Ritual sacrifices, unspeakable tortures, tombs of silence, and courts where every breath might be your last.